This is a good comment from Dorian. Cops are too afraid to lose their jobs to fight against the tyranny. We saw exactly this in a video that someone got as they had a chat with one of the port squad, the public order riot, whatever they're called, port squad.
Yeah.
And this guy was saying, look, I've got a family at home too. Like, it sucks. And you know, sort of the subtext being that he felt that what he was doing was wrong, but he had to feed his family and he didn't have other skills and he didn't have confidence he could get another job. And on the one hand, you kind of go, oh, that's so true. I want to make 3 points. Number one, initially you're kind of like, yeah, okay, at a human level, I understand that. My second point is, how devious is Daniel Andrews that he's created these confrontations on our streets where the people on both sides are actually there for the same reason. The protesters are showing up because they've got families to feed and they're suffering. The police are showing up and shutting down the protesters and shooting at them with rubber bullets because they've got families that they're afraid they won't be able to feed. Like, I think this is a measure of just how Machiavellian Daniel Andrews is and how effective he's been at dividing our state with people on opposing sides who are actually there for the same reasons. But my final point is this. We've never, ever since the end of the Second World War, we had a war about this, and then we had the Nuremberg trials, Nuremberg 1.0, because who knows, there may have to be a second one, where we determined as a culture, as a society, that I was just following orders was not a sufficient excuse. And I can't help but feel that I'm just doing what I'm told. I've got a family to feed, or the other version, which is, well, we can't just pick and choose what laws we obey. I can't help but feel that these are all variations on exactly that theme. I was just following orders. I think there's going to be, for a lot of police officers who I know are good people, and like I said, I have them in my family, I have them in my friendship group. They are good people. I think for them, there is going to be this experience of almost waking up out of a bad dream and looking back at who they were and what they did, and having to come to terms with the fact that they were that guy. You know.
So what would you do? What would you do if you were that guy?
If I was a police officer, I would like to believe that I would have raised my voice and accepted being court-martialed and fired. I would like to believe that would have been me. And I think I can make some argument that it would have been me, because I could have kept my mouth shut about the whole COVID thing. I could have backed down at any point in time over the last 18 months, and I haven't. I've gone to the point of being arrested in the belief that I might be held for a very long time. I've gone all the way to this point. So I hope that what that says about me is that if I had been a police officer, if that had been the career path that I had chosen, I hope that means that what I would have done is actually spoken up for what was right, and not simply gone along with it because of my job or whatever else. Now, having said that, people like you and I are outliers. You know, and this has been a really weird thing for me to accept through all of this. It's interesting. I'm arriving at a place where I am more comfortable in my own skin than I've ever been before. And I've always internally rebelled against the idea that I'm in any way different. It's a very uncomfortable thing for me to, you know, it feels very arrogant. It feels very, I don't like people who believe that about themselves. And so I don't want to believe that about myself. But I think that this circumstance is proving that I'm a certain personality type, and there are certain things, there are fights that I can't walk past. And I would like to believe that I would have taken that same approach had I been a police officer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally agree. Now, what would you do? And I would never second guess that for a second. And if anyone does, they're silly. But what would you do? And I know it's hard to put yourself in this position because you wouldn't do this anyway. But what if you did go along with the corrupt orders because you wanted to feed your family? And let's say you were a bit younger and you haven't quite figured out your courage of conviction yet. Yeah. Then you wake up one day. Let's say it's all. So how do you make amends for that? What do you do?
Yeah. That's genuinely difficult. Okay. So I have done a bunch of things that I now wake up and have that epiphany and realize this wasn't right. This isn't right. And I can't go to work and keep doing this. I would probably do what a lot of police have been doing, to be fair. And that is start calling in sick, start using my mental health days and things like that they do have as police officers. They do have access to those. And I do know that there are a number of police that have been doing that. I would potentially look to get reassigned. Now that's not an easy thing within the police force. So you get assigned to a certain job usually for, I think it's about 2 years, I think normally, before you can really actually ask for a reassignment. But if that was possible for me, I would probably look to try and get reassigned. But if there was absolutely no way for me to stop doing what I believed was morally unconscionable, I would hope that I would reach the point, even if it took me a little bit longer, if I was a bit younger and I was still figuring it out. It might take me some months. It might even take me until this point in the whole thing to have really actually discovered my moral compass. I still hope I can't think my way through to a different conclusion than that I would eventually realize that I just can't keep doing it.
Mhm.
I cannot continue to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. You know, I don't know.
It's something I've learned, obviously, and what a lot of people might not know is that standing up for your convictions actually feels so good. And even though it's difficult,
it's actually addictive in its own way.
It is. It's selfish. It's actually almost selfish in a way, because you actually get quite a lot of satisfaction, but you've got to be careful not to go too far and look for confrontations when they're not there, obviously.
Yeah.
But it takes a bit of effort to find your conviction, but once you do, you will never look back, because you'll realize you've got more strength than you knew, and new opportunities will come around for you that you never thought would. Everyone I know, every doctor, every nurse, every policeman I know that has spoken out have gotten new careers or new lives, and they never look back. They never look back.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anyone out there that you will be happier. Your family will actually, even if they have no food on the table, they will respect you more.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that. It's easy to say, but I'm saying I think that's true.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second then. Does that mean then that we end up in a situation where all the good cops have left the police force and the only cops we have left are the ones that don't have a conscience?
Well, I don't even think you can think about that, because it's how you sleep at night with yourself, right? So even if there's a roll-on effect, you have to do what's good in your conscience, or else you'll never be happy. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, good. Let me just bring up Fight Back Australia's comment here. The police can't see that Dan is even betraying them. Absolutely. Daniel Andrews has completely destroyed the standing and reputation of Victoria Police. An organization that, yes, has never been perfect. No organization ever is. But an organization that I think was worthy of respect up until all of this happened, and so many among their numbers just went along with it. But yes, it is going to take decades for Victoria Police to recover from this. And I suspect that it's actually going to take until my generation is dead before the memory of this is kind of lost and Victoria Police can actually recover.
Look, I'm more positive than you, but that's because this is happening all around the world. Police are acting like this in Italy, in France, in Canada, so when it is found out that the narrative is all whatever it is, when it's found out, there could be more healing than we imagine in a normal situation, because surely people have some sympathy of the fact that with the mainstream media and everything else, the brainwashing is so powerful. That's why it's there. There's there's the best psychological warfare geniuses at the top of this. It's not on accident that this has happened. So I don't blame people for potentially being brainwashed. I'm just lucky that I wasn't brought up with TV in my home, and I was always taught to critically think. I'm just lucky, not everyone's like that. So look, I don't think it's going to take decades. I think it will take a few big moments where, imagine if the police started walking with the protesters, or imagine if they kneeled down for us like they kneel down for other events. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, 100%. But see, that would go a long way towards that apology, that acknowledgement of, what, we were wrong. And I think you're absolutely right. If that happens, if that acknowledgement happens, I think this can happen a lot more quickly than my more pessimistic prediction a moment ago.